In my previous life, my sister and I were driving to go shopping when we accidentally hit a beggar. My sister looked around, her eyes filled with malice. Unable to bear it, I let my sister drive away alone. I sent the beggar to the hospital for treatment and took care of him until he was discharged. Little did I know that the beggar was none other than the tycoon Amir. Amir, out of gratitude for saving his life, made me the envied young madam. My sister, filled with jealousy and hatred, pushed me off the rooftop. You're not as beautiful as me, not as smart as me, so why did you marry better than me? Reborn. My sister left me halfway and drove alone to wait at the small intersection without surveillance. When my sister insisted on letting me get off halfway and anxiously looked around at the small intersection without surveillance, I knew she had also been reborn. In my previous life, after my sister hit the beggar while driving, she cursed angrily. What bad luck! He ruined my good mood. She looked around and then spoke with a relaxed tone. Ha ha ha. There's no surveillance here. Maybe I should just run him over. No one will find him anyway. Her words sent chills down my spine, as if she were dealing with a stray dog or cat. I glanced at the beggar still twitching in a pool of blood. I just couldn't bear it. Sister, you go home first. I'll clean up the mess. My sister, rare for her, listened to me and stepped on the gas, speeding away. In this life, she was apologetically taking care of the beggar in the hospital. It's all my fault. My sister kept urging me to buy her a gift quickly. I was in a hurry and hit you. But don't worry, I will take full responsibility, take care of you until you recover, and pay all the expenses. My sister, with swollen eyes, begged the beggar for forgiveness. Looking pitiful and hard to scold, she used warm towels to wipe the blood off the beggar's face and hands, her eyes full of tenderness. You didn't mean it. Don't take it to heart. The beggar generously waved his hand. The beggar's gaze fell on me. I deliberately rolled my eyes at him, and even covered my nose with my hand. My undisguised expression of disgust hurt the beggar. He coldly reclaimed his gaze and landed it back on my sister's delicate face, his eyes filled with blatant desire. Unfortunately, my sister was too busy building her innocent and kind persona and didn't notice. My sister, using the excuse of seeing me off, left the ward, unable to hide her excitement. Sister, this great fortune has finally come to me. Seeing my silence, she became even more smug. You're jealous of me, but it's no use. One has to accept reality. She only knew that this beggar was the famous business genius Amir, but she didn't know that Amir was just a good-looking empty shell. In my previous life, my sister Aridna wanted to go shopping for clothes and suddenly pulled me along to carry her bags and do the hard work. Due to her excessive speed, she knocked down a beggar who ran out from the intersection. To avoid further trouble, my sister wanted to run over the beggar. I decisively saved the beggar, and he regained his memory. He was the famous business genius Amir. Amir was extremely grateful to me, and not only let me work in the group, but also held a grand wedding for me and him. I became the envied boss lady of the Amir group, enjoying unparalleled prestige. And my sister, who had always been more favored by our parents, was filled with jealousy because she insisted on marrying a small-time crook, who not only abused her, but also openly flirted outside. My sister wanted a divorce, but the crook held a knife to her neck. His eyes read, "If you dare to leave me, I'll kill your whole family." My sister repeatedly asked me to get her a job at Amir's company, but I refused each time. The thought of the secret room in Amir's office made me shiver. If she went to Amir's company, no one knew better than me what she would face. Although I explained repeatedly, my sister simply didn't believe it, disdainfully saying, "You're fooling ghosts. Don't flatter yourself. Without Amir, who knows who you are?" I had no rebuttal, because what she said was the truth. Without Amir, there would be no me, Victoria. After refusing her again, she tricked me to the rooftop. Ariadna grabbed my neck with both hands, forcing me to the edge of the rooftop. Her eyes filled with a bloodthirsty ruthlessness. Her face gradually twisted. From childhood to adulthood, what aspect of you is better than mine? So why do you live better than me? Wretch. I will replace you as the boss lady of Amir's company. Haha. The bone-chilling hatred surged in my chest. The howling wind suddenly stopped in my ears. I forced myself to open my eyes, my vision gradually clearing. Ariadna's ferocious face completely overlapped with the obedient person in front of me. Since you're so eager to take this great fortune, then as your elder sister, of course, I'll fulfill you. The fully recovered Amir invited Ariadna to a 5-star restaurant under his own company, and had someone send Ariadna a set of evening gowns and jewelry. Our parents were overjoyed. Ariadna, you must perform well. Try to leave a better impression on Amir, and hopefully make him fall in love with you. Dressed up, Ariadna now looked like a proud peacock, slightly raising her head, her tone full of confidence. Don't worry, I will definitely win him over. Ariadna caught sight of me in my t-shirt and jeans and, with a quick glance around, said, "Sister, come with me." I was well aware of her intentions. It was nothing more than her desire to have me, the ugly duckling, serve as a foil to her, the swan. As I pushed open the door to the private room, Amir was lounging on the sofa, his posture casual and slightly askew, his eyes clouded with lust and malevolence. Judging by appearance alone, Amir was indeed quite presentable. He possessed the handsomeness of a playboy and the elegance of a noble scion. He swirled his wine glass, his gaze sweeping over Ariadna, his eyes brimming with desire. "Miss Ariadna, you are truly radiant tonight." He was adept at his perverse pleasure of lifting people high only to suddenly shatter them. Ariadna's face immediately blossomed with a coy smile. "You flatter me, President Amir." Amir's gaze fell upon me, and a mocking curve appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Are you really sisters?" At this, Ariadna covered her mouth and chuckled lightly. "Yes, from childhood to adulthood, everyone asks me how I could be so beautiful while my sister. Hey hey hey. Oh, what a pair of perverse individuals. May you be locked together forever." Seeing her objective achieved, Ariadna unceremoniously ordered me to go home first. Not wanting to stay, I promptly made my exit. That night, Ariadna did not return home. The next morning, Ariadna came back, her face glowing, a pink diamond necklace adorning her neck. Beneath the necklace, faint traces of fresh strawberry marks could be seen. In my previous life, Amir had initially treated me well, but my reluctance to take our relationship further had sparked his desire to conquer me. After all, the unattainable is always the best. Perhaps this was why he had treated me decently before our marriage. It remained to be seen how long Amir's freshness would last with the Ariadna, whom he had so quickly acquired. My parents immediately surrounded her with enthusiasm, eagerly asking, "How did it go, Ariadna?" "Taken care of," Ariadna said with a triumphant raise of her eyebrows. "Really? That's great. Our Ariadna is truly amazing," my parents exclaimed, hugging Ariadna with excitement. To the uninformed, it might seem as if Ariadna had accomplished something glorious, something that made our parents so proud. "I wonder if Mr. Amir can invest in our company. If we don't get funding soon, our company will go bankrupt." My father cautiously probed. "That's just a matter of me saying the word," Ariadna said with an air of certainty. At this, my parents were greatly relieved. "Ariadna, you are indeed a good daughter to us." When my father's gaze fell upon me, his expression immediately turned cold. "Victoria, as the elder sister, you are not even a tenth as good as your sister. We raised you all these years. What have you done for the family?" Suddenly called out by name, I appropriately displayed a look of shame. Ariadna disdainfully glanced at me, sneering. "Not everyone is as fortunate as I am to meet the powerful. One must learn to accept their fate." Ariadna's intention was to boast, but seeing my dull reaction, she quickly lost interest. With a dismissive "I'm tired," she turned and, teetering on her high heels, ascended the stairs for rest with a swaying gait. From a distance, I could hear her cooing into the phone. "Honey, I just got home. I'm exhausted." Whatever was said on the other end caused Ariadna to giggle shyly. "You're so naughty. I'll be shy. I won't talk to you anymore. See you tonight." "Very well. Let this continue to develop." One is violent and dissolute, the other selfish and greedy. They truly are a perfect match. On the Mid-Autumn Festival, my mother called to invite me home for dinner. When I saw Ariadne again, she was still dazzlingly beautiful, adorned with expensive clothes and jewelry, but the fatigue in her eyes was genuine. Accidentally revealing her arm, I saw glaring red marks. She followed me into the bedroom, her eyes overflowing with hatred, and she looked at me with a sinister gaze. Did you know what kind of person he was all along? Why didn't you tell me? I pretended to be unaware. Who are you talking about? What happened? Are you still pretending? Ariadne scrutinized my face, trying to find a flaw. After a while, she finally gave up, smiling as she looped her arm through mine, feigning warmth. Sister, now that I have a boyfriend, you're still single. Why don't I introduce you to someone? I understood Ariadne's little scheme. She was now dissatisfied with her life and was eager to drag me into the mire as well. She was desperate to find joy in my suffering to balance her current disappointment. I blinked, pretending to be delighted. Sure, who are you introducing me to? Seeing my interest, Ariadne became a bit excited. My friend Ikiar. You've met him. He's quite the catch. I say, the most important thing for a woman is to find a good man to marry. Look at how well I'm doing. How happy I am. Iker was Ariadne's husband from her previous life. A scoundrel. I couldn't help but sneer inwardly, having seen deceivers before, but never ones who deceived themselves. Why don't you give me his phone number? I'll contact him, I said coyly. All right. Ariadne hastily agreed, as if afraid I might change my mind the next second. Ariadne linked her arm through mine affectionately as we descended the stairs to dine together. As I glanced up, I caught Amir's gaze fixed intently on me, the corner of his mouth curling into an enigmatic smile, reminiscent of a tiger in the forest preparing to pounce on its prey, brimming with danger. Sister, you look much more beautiful than before, Amir said with a lecherous grin. Ariadne paused momentarily, a flicker of displeasure crossing her eyes. But it was only a fleeting moment. The next second, she smiled and seated herself beside Amir, winking at him. I think so too. They say a woman in love is the most beautiful, and sister might be in love. You know. Is that so? Amir's brow furrowed slightly, his expression turning cold. After dinner, I was washing the dishes in the kitchen. Turning around, my face collided with a solid chest, and upon looking up, I found it was Amir. A wave of nausea surged in my stomach. This was the first time I had been this close to him in this life. Memories of the previous life, when he had subjected me to countless torments, flashed through my mind, even after being reborn. Seeing him still triggered a physiological revulsion within me. Move aside. Don't delay me from washing the dishes, I said with a tone of disgust. Coldly, Amir did not get angry. Instead, he directly grabbed my hand, the chilling touch sending a shiver through my body. I struggled and managed to shake off his hand. He leered. Why don't you come with me? Through the glass, I saw Ariadne approaching. I deliberately made things difficult, saying, What about Ariadne? She's your girlfriend, and I don't want to be an unscrupulous third wheel. Girlfriend? Amir laughed as if he had heard the biggest joke, unable to stop himself. I never acknowledged that. She's just a toy to me, and a toy I've already grown tired of. She can't compare to you in flavor. As he spoke, he reached out to touch my face, and I almost vomited, instinctively slapping his arrogant face with a resounding slap. Realizing what I had done, I was momentarily stunned, my face stern but my slightly trembling hand betraying my unease. I thought to myself, this is bad. Amir's face was slapped to one side, and slowly, he turned his head back, his tongue pressing against his swollen cheek. He grinned lecherously. Little wildcat. I like that. Too perverse. I threw down the rag and fled. At the kitchen door, Isaw Ariadne, her face ashen with anger. Her gaze towards Amir was ice cold, venomous. Ariadne, I have shown you your place in Amir's heart. What you do next is up to you. But don't disappoint me. That evening, I added IKR on WeChat. How could I not prepare some things in advance for my dear sister? A few days later, I received a call from Ariadne. saying she wanted to introduce me to IKEA officially. I knew what was coming would come. I curled my lips into a smile and gladly accepted the invitation. As I approached the private room of the restaurant, I faintly heard Ariadna's voice. Later, get her into bed. Take more photos and videos of her. I want her reputation ruined. The voice seemed to be gritted out. Then, lowering her voice, she laughed arrogantly. She has always been inferior to me since childhood. So why is she living better than me now? I want to destroy her. If you do this well, I will naturally reward you handsomely. Outside, the sun was scorching, yet a chill ran down my back. It seemed that the greatest feat in Ariadna's absurd life was to trample me into the mud. Trampling once wasn't enough. She had to do it a second time, as if that was her affirmation of self-worth. I no longer wanted to ask her face to face why she did this, because I understood that jackals bite you not because you did something wrong, but because they are born to be jackals. I tried to calm my emotions and opened the door calmly, stepping inside slowly. Ariadna's face visibly showed a hint of panic, but she pretended to be calm. Sister, when did you arrive? I just arrived and walked in. What's wrong, sister? I pretended to be unaware, blinking at her. Hearing this, Ariadna exhaled imperceptibly, her face regaining its smile. Nothing. Let me introduce you to my friend IKR. A fine gentleman. Didn't I tell you? A fine gentleman? I glanced at IKR beside me, who had a prominent belly, dark skin, and was grinning, showing a mouthful of yellow teeth. Still, I nodded against my better judgment. Yes, quite handsome. Ariadna proudly raised her eyebrows. That's right. I'm the best to my sister. Let's toast together to celebrate sister's new relationship. Saying this, she handed me a glass of red wine. Sure. Hearing my voice, Ariadna's hand holding the wine glass trembled imperceptibly. I glanced at IKR, who immediately understood. Iker intentionally stepped on Ariadna's foot hard. Ouch. Can't you see where you're stepping? Ariadna's face contorted in pain, and she placed the wine glass on the table. Sister, are you okay? I pretended to be very anxious, stepping in front of her to block her view. Iker took the opportunity to switch the wine glasses of Ariadna and me. It's nothing. Let's continue drinking. Ariadna, in order not to delay the main event, endured the pain and picked up the wine glass. I also picked up my glass and slowly brought it to my lips. A flicker of excitement flashed in Ariadna's eyes, especially when she saw me drink the wine. She eagerly tilted her head back and drained her glass in one gulp. Ariadna's smile, which had been maintained for half a day, finally faded, replaced by a cold expression. My dear elder sister, you must have been reborn too. Why didn't you pull me back when you saw me jumping into the fire pit? Since you're so malicious, don't blame me for being ruthless. By tomorrow, your scandalous photos will be all over the internet. Ha ha ha. I hid my tightly clenched fist in my sleeve. I feel so dizzy. I pretended not to understand her words and rested my head on my arm, lying down on the table. Ha ha ha. Ariadna laughed maniacally. Drag her to the bed and let her enjoy herself thoroughly. All right, all right, all right. Iker, who had been impatiently waiting, rubbed his hands excitedly. The two of them jointly dragged me into the hotel room. I need to take a shower, Iker said and ran into the bathroom. Can you hurry up? Why so many adherents to meticulous standards? So slow. Ariadna complained dissatisfactionally. Gradually, Ariadna's voice grew softer, her face turning redder. She leaned her hand on her forehead, her eyes hazy, and she collapsed onto the bed. At that moment, Iker also came out from the bathroom. Sister Victoria, how did I perform just now? He looked like a primary school student waiting for his teacher's praise. Not bad. Very clever, I said with a calm smile, taking out a stack of cash from my bag and tossing it into his arms. After the job is done, there will be another half. All right, I'll do it. Sister Victoria, you can trust me. Iker grinned from ear to ear as he counted the money. I walked out of the hotel room and sent a message to Amir. Hotel Palangienda, room 1201, waiting for you. The reply came instantly. My little wildcat. You've finally come to your senses. Wait for me, and I'll show you how powerful I am." I raised an eyebrow. The show was about to begin. Soon, the room echoed with the woman's shrill cries. I quietly followed inside. Amir was roughly pinching Ariadne's chin, forcing her to lift her head. "Honey, it's not what you think. Victoria set me up. Please forgive me. Honey." Ariadne, naked and trembling, knelt on the bed begging for mercy. "Forgive you?" Amir glared at her with a sinister gaze, let out a cold laugh. "You're just a dog I raised. What qualification do you have to ask for my forgiveness?" Smack. Amir raised his hand and gave Ariadne a resounding slap. The slap was powerful. Ariadne's fair cheeks instantly swelled red, and blood hissed from the corner of her mouth. "When you make mistakes, you have to accept punishment. My little Ariadne." Amir slowly pulled out a spring knife, sinisterly gazing at Ariadne. Hearing this, Ariadne's pupils sharply contracted, her lips trembling, her face smeared with snot and tears. She crawled over and clutched Amir's trouser leg. "Please, honey, I won't dare again. Remember, you're always mine, even if I get tired of you. Only I can destroy you." Amir's eyes mixed with a bloodthirsty ruthlessness. "No, my face." Ariadne's heart-wrenching screams echoed in my ears. I subconsciously closed my eyes. When I opened them again, Ariadne was covered in blood. She panically touched her face with her hands, her body uncontrollably trembling. It turned out that Amir had slashed Ariadne's cheeks with the knife. Before leaving, Amir gave Ariadne another brutal kick. Blood gushed out of her mouth in large amounts, and she lay on the ground, emitting painful whimpers. Like a dog, I looked down at Ariadne lying on the ground, struggling to lift herself, but unable to get up, feeling a sense of satisfaction. Seeing me, Ariadne's expression twisted inch by inch, her eyes instantly revealing a bone-chilling hatred, making her face both hateful and terrifying. "It's you?" she said through clenched teeth. "It's me." I raised an eyebrow and gave her a calm smile. "You bitch. I'll kill you." She struggled to lunge at me. I kicked her with a flying kick, directly knocking her down. Ariadne's eyes widened abruptly. She looked at me in disbelief for a long time before saying, "You must have been reborn too. Otherwise, you wouldn't dare treat me like this. You've always been good to me since we were kids." Damn it. She even knew I was good to her. "Once, I truly treated you as my sister, giving you all the good things. But in your previous life, you killed me out of jealousy. In this life, since you're not doing well, you want to drag me into hell to balance your heart. If I destroy you in this life, it's your own fault." With every word I said, Ariadne's face grew paler. Was she pitiful? Maybe a bit. But the pitiful often have their own hateful aspects. This punishment was far from enough for the evil she did to me in her previous life. Amir's pathological possessiveness would leave Ariadne with no burial place. In the previous life, a girl near Amir merely glanced at a handsome male bodyguard beside him. Amir directly punched the girl, bursting her eyeball. In the previous life, if it weren't for Amir's appreciation of my ability to manage the company, I wouldn't even know how I died at his hands. And in this lifetime, what awaits Ariadne, whose only redeeming feature, her beauty, has been destroyed? I am filled with anticipation. Amir's mother is ill, she has cancer. In this life, the moment has finally arrived. I found Blanca. Blanca is Amir's half-sister, a woman with exceptional business acumen. Unfortunately, influenced by Amir's mother, their father had prematurely drawn up a will, designating Amir as the sole heir to the company. "President Amir, I can help you reclaim Amir's company." This decisive woman glanced at me, as if I were a fool, coldly stating, "These days, bragging doesn't cost anything, does it? How you got into my company is how you'll leave." I know Amir's biggest secret. At this, Blanca's steps halted. I continued. Over the years, Amir's company has been propped up by his mother behind the scenes. Amir himself is a buffoon, utterly clueless. Now, his mother is on the brink of death. She turned back, her sharp eyes fixed on me. "How do you know this?" I calmly met her gaze and slowly recounted my experience of reincarnation. Blanca's pupils dilated, her face filled with astonishment. Finally, she furrowed her brows and made a call to a private detective. After a long while, she slowly spoke. "Why did you choose to help me?" "Because in my previous life, you helped me," I reminisced. "It was at the funeral of Amir's father. As the sole heir, Amir's animal instincts took over, dragging me forcibly into his father's study, listening to funeral dirges while playing with a woman. It's thrilling just to think about it." I was terrified, screaming for help. Just as I was closing my eyes in despair, ready to resign myself to fate, someone kicked down the door. Blanca stood at the entrance, fuming, a kitchen knife in hand. "The funeral for our father hasn't even concluded, and you're already in such a rush. I ought to castrate you," she seethed. Amir, his neck stiff with defiance, retorted, "What right do you have to meddle in my affairs? You mere girl? I am the rightful heir to the company, beware. I might just throw you out of the house." This remark infuriated Blanca. Her eyes blazed with a sudden, intense hatred, and she lunged at Amir with the knife. Amir, terrified, fled while hurling insults. "You lunatic! You'll never marry! You old spinster!" After Amir's escape, Blanca slumped in exhaustion. She then instructed the servants to clean me up and escorted me to her room, before dispatching her driver to send me home. "Who would have thought we share such a history? No wonder the first time I saw you, I felt a sense of déjà vu," she said with a faint smile. At that moment, her private detective called. Whatever was said on the other end seemed to surprise Blanca, whose eyes flickered as she looked at me. I surmised that the detective had verified my claims. After all, the news about Amir's mother's illness had been tightly sealed by Amir himself. As an outsider with no money or influence, there was no way I could have known. After hanging up, she approached me. "If you succeed, what reward do you seek?" 5% of the company's shares, I replied without hesitation. "Fine, the task is yours. If successful, I'll grant you 10%. Blanca agreed readily. After several major contracts mysteriously fell through at Amir's company, he was thrown into complete panic. Paranoid, he suspected betrayal in everyone. Adhering to the principle of better to kill 100 innocents than let one traitor escape, the company dismissed many employees. The entire company was in an uproar. Those who remained were quietly seeking other opportunities. Several high-ranking executives had even secretly lured many of the group's long-standing clients to their newly established company, a company where I was the legal representative. At the entrance of a bar Amir frequented, I encountered a fortune teller, and an idea struck me. The fortune teller, having received my payment, seized the opportunity to inform the superstitious Amir, "Your forehead is dark, indicating bad luck. The cause is a woman born in the year of the dog, whose zodiac conflicts with your mother's." Amir believed the fortune teller without question. Through connections, Amir traveled to Thailand, spending a fortune to acquire a ghost, and began the practice of raising a ghost. Once initiated, the ghost could not enter the cycle of reincarnation, naturally accumulating great resentment. This resentment, when strong enough, would grant the ghost magical powers, enabling it to assist its master in nefarious deeds. For instance, businessmen raising ghosts could experience sudden good fortune and financial success. However, raising a ghost required daily meticulous offerings, including food, drink, and, most importantly, human blood. Initially, a single drop daily, the requirement gradually increased to a full tube every 2 days. Ariadna became the convenient mobile blood bank. After several months of continuous blood transfusions, Ariadna, pale and weak, finally collapsed. During this period, Amir's company showed no signs of improvement. Almost all of the group's long-standing clients had been poached. Amir's first doubts surfaced towards the sorcerer. The sorcerer's eyes darted around before he declared gravely, "This girl is laden with sin. Her blood is impure." "Waste," Amir fumed, kicking Ariadna, who lay on the ground. The sorcerer then proposed to Amir that using Ariadna as a sacrificial offering in a demon exorcising ritual would not only cure his mother's illness, but also turn his company's fortune around. Already harboring intense dislike for ARIDNA, Amir agreed without hesitation. The ritual was scheduled for the following evening. Relying on memories from a previous life, I sneaked into the basement of Amir's villa in the dark. There, I found ARIDNA bound tightly, a cloth stuffed in her mouth, her eyes closed in despair, unsure if she was unconscious or already dead. A deep cut on her wrist dripped bright red blood onto a Buddhist amulet. The sorcerer danced eerily under a massive spirit banner, chanting incantations. I estimated the ritual was nearing completion. I quietly exited the villa. I called the police. With a loud bang, the villa's door was kicked open by the police. "Hands up!" The police shouted sternly. "Damn it! We were just a step away from completing the exorcism. How did the police arrive? How dare they ruin my plans? I'll fight them to the end." Amir, his eyes bloodshot, charged out like a wild beast, brandishing a gun purchased from the black market. After a series of gunshots, bang, 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 Amir collapsed in a pool of blood, his eyes wide open, filled with disbelief and unwilling to accept the outcome. He didn't even have a chance to leave a final word. The sorcerer was taken away by the police. Ariadna was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. I went to the hospital to visit her. She lay in the intensive care unit, her eyes vacant, her cheeks hollow, with several shocking scars resembling earthworms crawling on her face. Upon seeing me, her eyes instantly lit up, and she with great difficulty raised her hand to grasp mine. Sister Ariadna no longer possesses the sharpness and dominance of her past. Her voice is hoarse, and when she calls me, it carries a cautious, ingratiating tone. Let go. Her fingers are cold and clammy, and I feel a certain disdain. Ariadna is momentarily stunned, the light in her eyes gradually fading until she finally lets go of my hand. Awkwardly, it seems she has swallowed a great deal of worcha, choking out, "Sister, how could you treat me like this? I know you still care about me, otherwise, why would you have called the police to save me?" 8. You think too much. I curled my lips and tried to calm my tone. I called the police because I wanted to see you live in pain. I leaned forward, stared into her eyes, and said word by word, "It's too easy for you to die like that. Now that your beauty that you are proud of is gone, what else can you compare with me? I want you to watch me reach the peak of my life. I like to see you jealous to death, but helpless. Ha ha ha. If you want to kill someone, you must first kill their heart." Ariadna's pupil shrank sharply after what I said, and tears instantly filled her eyes. She was hysterical. "Why do you treat me like this?" I sneered. "Why? Have you forgotten how I died in my last life?" This sentence instantly hit Ariadna. Her face was visibly pale, her lips trembled, and she couldn't speak for a long time. Iker in the previous life, Amir in this life, are your own choices. If you are not living well, what does it have to do with me? People should learn to accept their fate. I returned the words she said to me. Her face was pale. She lowered her head and said nothing. After that, I turned and left, leaving her with a resolute back. "I'm sorry, sister." I heard Ariadna's crying voice behind me. On the way, I received a call from Blanca. "Where have you been? Come back and sign the equity transfer agreement. After signing, we will go on a trip abroad and celebrate." "Okay," I responded happily. After Amir died, his mother also died. Blanca successfully inherited Amir's company, and my own new company was also on the right track. My parents' attitude towards me has changed dramatically. They always tell relatives and friends, "Our Victoria is very capable. She has opened her own company. She is the pride of our old couple." As for ARIDNA, my parents have now stopped talking about it. Since ARIDNA was hospitalized, my parents have not visited the hospital once, as if this daughter does not exist. You see, family affection in this world also has a price tag. Once a person is no longer useful, sometimes even your biological parents will give up on you. A few days later, I received a call from the hospital that ARIDNA had jumped off the building. She couldn't accept that I was living better than her. The past cannot be pursued, and the road to the future is bright and brilliant. I should also run towards a better future.